Wake up, Adam, they are getting close.
All right, so this is absolutely huge. We actually covered a few weeks ago how they were trying to ratify a plan to essentially attack Russia, and there was some things that came out of that, and I assume from this that that has actually happened. It says ordering the selected reserve and certain members of the individual ready reserve of the armed forces to active duty. Now, this isn't an article from the AP or of course, any other mainstream media. This is from the actual whitehouse.gov briefing. It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including sections 121 and 12304 of Title 10 United States Code, I hereby determine that it is necessary to augment the active armed forces of the United States of the effective conduct of Operation Atlantic Resolve in and around the United States European Command's area of responsibility. In furtherance of this operation under the stated authority, I hereby authorize the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Homeland Security with respect to the Coast Guard when it is not operating as a service in the Navy under their respective jurisdictions. In order to active duty, any units and any individual members not assigned to a unit organized to serve as a unit of the selected reserve or any member in the individual ready reserve mobilization category and designated as essential under regulations prescribed. Essentially what this is saying, and it says not to exceed 3,000 total members at any time, from whom no more than 450 may be members of the individual ready reserve. Again, this is from the White House, from JB himself, right? Or at least his office that essentially has him sign things and tells him what he is doing that day. As far as readying the reserve, this is a small part of the bigger plan that is going into play. Of course, yesterday's show, we talked about how myself and many others believe that we are heading into a World War III, not an end of the world scenario, not an end time scenario as far as, end times, as far as that goes. You may have your personal beliefs about that, but what about politically and geographically and geopolitically with the world? I think that this is World War III and it's coming. It's not going to be an all-out nuke exchange, but it is going to be a very, very tumultuous time. So we're going to talk about this and many other signs that things are not going great, and I guess talk about what we can do to prepare for it. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, so it looks like we might need to change something. Thank you in the chat. Somebody let us know that we may have some sort of fact check underneath our video. Dex, can you see what is popping up on their end?
It's weird. It's CV. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure it out.
Why? We haven't. There was nothing in the title about that. Maybe it's the. This is why we're. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything in this about the CV. What? What in the world? Why would they do that? That just doesn't make any sense.
Someone said it was there last night, but then it went away. Or when I looked, it wasn't there. So I don't know if there's some sort of weird glitch happening too. That could be the case, but I'm looking into it.
Yeah, that's thank you everybody out there in the individual community. This is why exactly you need to go over to Marfoogle News and sign up for our email alerts. If you haven't already, again, this is more than just a show. We are a community. We try to look out for each other. We try to push everybody up. We try not to push everybody down. Tonight is going to be a call-in show, so you can call in tonight at 224-400-MARF, and that number will be scrolling down below. But even more reason, like many people don't realize what the individual creator goes through to actually be on several platforms. A lot of folks don't see it. And I don't spend all day, every day whining and complaining about how we're not treated equally, because frankly, we're not. But the folks that really do stick out are the ones who do at least see that. And that doesn't mean even supporting. That means sharing us out. Of course, signing up for our email, commenting on every video, and occasionally, if you don't skip the ads, that helps us too. So again, like the fact is, things like that really bothers me when they're basically putting a fact check under our video that has absolutely no relevance to the video today. I don't think we have a single thing on the docket regarding that, because again, that disappeared, right? That's just gone, the CV and all of that stuff. So thank you guys for your support. Thank you for sharing us out. Thank you for pushing it out. Honestly, I think it would be a thing of like pride if we were successful. That would be something that would reflect on you guys, because it's not going to reflect on us. It doesn't matter what we do. Ever since, whenever the whole Discord thing happened, it was like it's stagnant. It was just crazy when that thing happened. It was like, so if you guys can help us out, that would be great. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. One thing we also do before every single show, so if you're some staff member somewhere watching us, is we always make sure to have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. So we can actually show you exactly what articles are here today, and even the ones that are not, I don't think are even related to that. So if you go to marfooglenews.com, you can find activating troops, Neurotech threat, and ICBM launched unprecedented exercises. And once you click on that, you will find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we are going to share here today, plus a whole lot more. There's actually the overflow/web content. One thing that I will point out, we'll talk about this in the very end. I thought this is in the overflow, but Disney could soon sell its TV assets. As Bob Iger says, business may not be core to the company. When I read that, the first thing I thought of is how over the last couple of years, anytime that Disney has, the Disney Channel has popped on, it's like 42 or something here, it is the worst channel ever. There is literally like 2 or 3 shows that they recycle. There's like Bunked and some other show. It's nothing. It does not resemble Disney from when we were kids whatsoever. It's kind of like how MTV, had Catfish and whatever other show on, and it had nothing to resemble what MTV used to be when they used to play, music videos. But their Disney TV stuff isn't like, that's not even, either way. Disney's in a lot of people's opinion, is just going down the toilet. So again, I'm not surprised that they might actually just get rid of the TV part altogether and just sell those off, right? Thank you, Sean Morgan. Thank you, and I know that's on purpose because you've done that one before. Thank you so much. It's $77 super chat. I appreciate that. And again, that's not necessary, but so much appreciated. Adam and Dex, be encouraged. Love you guys and pray for all the Foogle fam. Thank you, Sean, and I appreciate that. Feathers, thank you. 6 minutes ago. Did a super chat as well. You can always write a message there if you would like. And again, thank you. Dex.
It just like last night, it's gone.
Oh, you guys don't even know. And what if just adding that into it stunts it, right? So whoever,
it's weird. It's really weird that shows up because there's nothing there. I looked through the description, looked through everything, and everything you've said at the beginning, nothing at all to do with it. And yes, it showed for like a minute and then it was gone.
So my question is that something that can be auto done? Like, is it auto doing that at the beginning of every show? And does that, once they mark a video with that, does it stunt it? Does it stunt it being shown to others? So on your end, please let us know when that happens. Please record it. I don't think that's right, especially when it has nothing to do with anything. Um, I have actually felt like this platform has gotten better since a lot of these places have been in the spotlight. So I have actually had a somewhat good experience or a better experience with the tube than we used to. I mean, you couldn't even say Russia without having some sort of alert show up down there. So thank you guys. Remember, today is a call-in show. Also, just want to remind you during call-in shows, if somebody calls in, it doesn't matter what they sound like. It doesn't matter what they say. If you completely disagree with it, whatever else, we're not going to say next. We're not going to say next caller. This guy's drunk, an idiot, or this or that. That's just not. You just give them their 5 minutes. And again, they're probably going to be popping back in the chat after they call. So it's just a respectful thing to do. Treat them as if, they're your coworkers or somebody that's literally going to be sitting at the table after you. And again, that might be good advice for those of you that treat your coworkers like crap, but I would appreciate if everybody was polite and nice. And then once everybody really does practice that, even the new people, you'll realize that this community grows a lot stronger when everybody is even going out of their way to try to be nice to each other. And then it ends up becoming natural to do that. So for a good year out of the 6 years I've been on, it was like there was a good year where it was just everybody was helping everybody, and it does become magical, but everybody has to kind of everybody has to chip in as far as that goes. All right, and then Dex, my co/internet brother, Dex James, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Adam. It doesn't feel right to say it now, but I'm doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, so Dex, let's go back to the first story here before we open up the phones. Again, that will be at 224-400-MARF. Just wait until right after this. Ordering the selected reserve and certain members of the individual ready reserve. Let's talk about this real quick.
Well, the interesting thing to me is that this, when I was looking through the news, it may be there by now, but it didn't seem like anybody was covering this. Like nobody's talking about this from the mainstream side. They didn't say, "Hey, look, we're sending up troops," or maybe they're just slow and delayed, or maybe there's a plan. How all of this tends to be orchestrated in some way, shape, or form. But the timing of this couldn't be more in alignment with what we just had completed. We just completed the NATO meetings Tuesday and Wednesday. And part of that at that meeting was to potentially build or replace the plan for how to attack or defend against or offense against Russia. So we covered that a couple weeks ago because going into it, they were going back and forth on it to get prepared for this meeting. So presumably that's done. Check mark in the bag. They're not going to talk about it. They're not going to tell us that. That's not something that would normally come out of that meeting. They will tell us about how much they love Zelensky and how they'll support him forever, but they're not going to say, "Yeah, we've got the plan and we're ready to go after, Putin." So, but that happens, the meeting happens, and then today roll up some more troops. It won't surprise me. The next thing we're going to see is, F-16s heading over there, more and more stuff heading over there, and even maybe more troops heading over there. We already have a lot in the European theater.
And NATO has, over 300,000 troops placed. They've changed their structure, so now they can actually place NATO in the countries before any kind of action takes place. For instance, if someone goes into Finland, and usually if somebody invades into Finland, Finland would then defend itself and then basically call up NATO, and NATO would then come. It would basically hold them off until the reinforcements come. Now they're changing it to where it would be where there's permanent emplacements in Finland and all of the other NATO countries where they're just basically ready for it. And you could say that that's because of this whole debacle that's going on, and of course that and it is, but as far as that's just all part of the show, or it is because they're getting ready for a world war. A world war does not mean the end of the world. A world war is very good for certain parties. A world war will make some parties an extreme amount of money. And as we know, since 2019, that thing we never talked about tonight, essentially there are certain events that are absolutely horrible for 99% of us that are absolutely amazing for that top 1% of folks. Not only amazing, over the top, like making a super yacht every 10 minutes kind of amazing. So these things are very, very tied into, and if you look at the actual governments of the world, if you look at all of the kind of top people, they're also on the board of these military companies. So just as kind of the other industry that just got super rich since 2019, military industrial complex, it also has that ability. I don't know which one is a better moneymaker, if it's the medical side of things or if it's the physical military side of things. I don't know. But that's my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. And then thank you, Meepo007 says, thank you for flying Earth Airlines. Please return your trays to the upright position. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Welcome to the system. Enjoy your stay. Shout out to the mods. Well, awesome, and thank you for shouting out the mods. Make sure to drop an M in the chat for your mods, and make sure to also go check out all of their channels over at marfooglenews.com/friends. You can find, of course, everybody, Bones, Chance, CJ, Jam, and, of course, Lisa, Rip, RGL, Ilea, Trinity, and Wages World. All over at marfooglenews.com/friends, along with great preppers and great creators that are our personal friends. All right. And then the Secret Service. Remember, the phone lines are open. That number is now scrolling down below. Secret Service is closing White House cocaine investigations without finding any suspects. We talked about this last night. This is absolute BS, and most people with 2 brain cells that haven't been fried by the cocaine, they're basically saying that this is absolute bull. You guys know what I mean. So as far as the Secret Service will close the White House investigation without finding any suspects, the JB administration faces cover-up claims as Republicans tear into ridiculous suggestion that there's no idea who left the cocaine in the West Wing locker. Now, first of all, they say locker. Before, there was another thing that said, if this is in some sort of area, I'm sorry, there is not one place other than possibly the bathrooms that are not covered by cameras and legitimate surveillance. In fact, there's top secret types of surveillance that when you go into the White House as an employee, there's journalists that I've talked to that say that if they're stationed there are certain things there that they basically sign a waiver saying you are going to be watched and surveilled by things that we can't tell you what's even watching you. So it's absolutely BS. I mean, there's all sorts of things. If you guys don't know, the White House actually has like weight sensors in the lawn. They have lasers. They have all sorts of stuff. If you can imagine the Mission Impossible movie where they're dropping in on lasers and weight sensors and temperature thermometers and things like that, they have all of that out on the lawn. Like, that's on the grass, okay? So whatever they have inside, I can't imagine. And they probably have tech that we don't even know what it is yet, watching and surveilling the White House. So the fact that they turn this political instantly turns half of the people. It shuts down the argument about it. It shuts down everything. They're saying that it's the right side that is, saying this, and then the left side is saying, who cares, right? Well, first of all, who is bringing hard? First of all, even if this wasn't the person they think it is, which it's absolutely, I mean, it takes really 2 brain cells to put together what went on here. But even if it's somebody else, that somebody else needs to be fired. We don't need them in any part of running our country while they're high. I mean, do we? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But the fact that they have turned this now into a left versus right thing, it shuts down everything. And then the basically both sides of the cult are going to say, oh, this and this and that. I think the truth is on the right side, though. I mean, they know who did this. They know whose bag it was. And it is a serious thing. Like, why is that just overlooked? Why are they saying, oh, we don't know? The fact that they say they don't know is even more reason for people to suspect and ask questions and go, oh, they weren't there that weekend. Well, who cares? They live there 99% of the time. I mean, they found it somewhere. At first they said, a lot of places said that they found it on the ground in a hallway. Then they said they found it in the other part of the White House. And then they said that they found it in the West Wing. It's like they changed their story like 5 times. Now they're saying they don't have any video of, they can't just scroll back. What do they have, Ring doorbell camera, and they didn't get the premium account, so they can only go 3 days back or something? Like, it just sounds stupid. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you, Liz Bauer, for subscribing, or it looks like you actually resubscribed. Make sure to check that you're subscribed. A lot of people just type in the name every night and watch us. If you're not subscribed, please resubscribe. It definitely helps as far as when you press that all notifications button. Give us a call at 224-400-MARF. I am in disbelief that they don't know, but we know. They do this stuff on a daily basis. And that's the scary part, is 99% of the people out there just don't care about the covers. And then AI supercharged neurotech threatens mental privacy. This is from UNESCO. Now, we covered Neurostrike. That was really amazing, by the way. And first of all, if there was anything to ever go viral, is our stories on the Neurostrike, because nobody else is talking about it. There's not even, I don't know if there is, and you can drop a alternative news source that's talking about that. What's even funnier is the Neurostrike technology. They're essentially saying that China has the technology to not only control brains, but to possibly make it to where they could control government leadership and whole populations, right? This is not a fictional thing. It is some sort of microwave thing that can basically control actions in your brain. So if it wants you to sit down or run or walk or get sad, it can do that. This technology we talked about in a short video when a Washington Times story came out about it, with a 12-page thing about it. And then LJ Eads, which I'm assuming they wrote the report and they had a big article come out in Washington Times. Maybe they looked up Neurostrike. They found us and they popped into chat. We ended up lining up for the live show right after it for him to call in. And LJ Eads, I think it was, essentially called in and told us, like, this is all real. And it's something that nobody is talking about. And when later that night, I went into a Spaces, which was a late night theory talk thing. And it had a bunch of the big Spaces hosts. And I actually got to speak and I talked about it. And I talked to one of my peers on Twitter, which was Maze Love. And I sent her all this stuff and I talked about it. They were talking about the dancing plague, which is also fantastically fascinating. About in the 1500s, a bunch of people got this plague where they couldn't stop dancing. Over 400 people died. It's a really crazy story. But I brought up all of the facts of it. And then people were like, oh, yeah. And then they just moved right on. Like, nobody cares about this. That, to me, that says something is wrong. Like, nobody really cared about it. Nobody goes, whoa. I would think that people would stop right there. Everybody would go, wait, what? And then read that and go, whoa. It's crazy to me. I honestly think it's crazy. And now they're saying the combination of, and this is so weird, when I read this, you know what came to mind. This is the combination of warp speed advances in neurotechnology, such as brain implants or scans that can increasingly peek inside minds, or artificial intelligence that poses a threat to mental privacy, UNESCO warned on Thursday. It says the UN's Agency for Science and Culture has started developing a global ethical framework to address human rights concerns posed by neurotechnology, it said at a conference in Paris. Neurotechnology is a growing field seeking to connect electric devices to the nervous system, mostly so far to treat neurological disorders and to restore movement, communication, vision, and hearing. Recently, neurotechnology has been supercharged by artificial intelligence algorithms, which can process and learn from data in ways never seen before. said Margarezia Ciccarini, a UNESCO economist specializing in AI. Quote, "It's like putting neurotech on steroids," she told the AFP. It says Gabriel Ramos, UNESCO's Assistant Director General for the Social and Human Services, said that this convergence of neurotechnology and AI was far-reaching and potentially harmful. Potentially harmful is like a total understatement. We're talking about things that are going to be connecting humans to the machines. We're talking about neurotech. And we really haven't processed. It's kind of like if you get in an accident and you're in shock. I think that that's where humans are right now, because we have not processed that this is no longer sci-fi, that people are going to be hooking computers up to our brains, that you will be able to control things with your mind, that people will be able to control you with a computer. This is happening right now. And if there was ever a time that this may grow discontent for this whole system, it would be now. Like if there was ever to be like some sort of crazy revolution or something, I could see it happening in the next 10 years with this. Because once this does process, once everybody's loading screen gets to 100% on this, it's going to get really, really scary. Because I don't think people have processed. I think people are still in shock. They have watched so many sci-fi films about this that it's like it's not a big deal yet. But this is real, and it's happening. And really, I haven't seen anybody that actually doubts this. Many people are afraid of it, but out of all things, people doubt almost everything in this. Everything. They doubt everything. Nobody is doubting that they're trying to do this. In fact, people are basically just saying that this is something, the only doubters are doubting that it would be a good thing. So this is Neurotech, what Elon is working on as far as all of these very, very high up companies that are doing AI. The fact that AI is so big right now, and the fact that Neurotech, he said before, it's basically their answer to keep up with AI. Like we're in Terminator 1, 2, and 3 right now. This is like Skynet, and we're about to create these cyborgs, and it's a real life thing. It's terrifying. It says we are on a path to a world in which algorithms will enable us to decode people's mental processes and directly manipulate the brain mechanisms underlying their intentions, emotions, and decisions. I just want to reiterate that we are on a path to a world in which algorithms will enable us to decode people's mental processes and directly manipulate the brain mechanisms underlying their intentions, emotions, and decisions. And people are not tripping out about this. This is absolutely terrifying. Even if we don't have a nuclear bomb go off, even if we don't have an asteroid hit Earth, even if we don't have a black hole suck us in, even if we don't have a solar storm, a cyber attack, whatever else, what they are saying is factual, that is going to happen, that they're already testing, they're already doing human trials on. This is happening right now. The fact that they could possibly take something with microwaves and control people, and now they're also talking about connecting it directly into people. What if this becomes a requirement in the future? What if the structure and they're literally making an ethical framework for this? Okay? So they are creating it. This is going to be in our kids' lives. This is going to be in our lives, from what it looks like. In the next 10 years to 15 years, possibly even 5, according to some, there will be people hooked up to computers. This is terrifying. But nobody, and you'll see this too. I bet it will probably be a year, 2, 3 years down the road, if we make it that far. I bet you'll see this and go, wow, we were talking about that in the Fugel fam, all this time ago. Just like everything else. The patterns are there. They're showing us 99% of the people don't follow stuff like this. They don't follow 20, 30, 40 articles a day, so they don't really, they don't have a full grasp on what's going on and all of the things coming out. We're kind of proud that we bring everybody at least all of the important notes of every single day. So give us a call at 2244-00-MARF. Again, that is 2244-006273. And then we have British F-35Bs to bring vertical landing abilities to the highways. So again, British F-35B Joint Strike Fighters as well as Typhoon FGR-4 multi-role fighters are set to operate from highways in the near future as part of an evolving distributed operations strategy, something that is a fast-growing trend in light of potential Russian aggression in Europe. Well, the UK Royal Air Force has already begun to expand the options from where it can operate its Typhoons. The announcement that its F-35s are also planned to be used from highways is a new development, but one that makes a considerable amount of sense considering the stealth jet's short takeoff and vertical landing. It says the latest plans were revealed today by Air Marshal Harvey Smith, a RAF Air and Space Commander, during the Global Air and Space Chiefs Conference in London, where it was first reported by Steve Trimble. So understand what's happening here. On top of the U.S., on top of Japan, on top of Taiwan, now, of course, the British and different armies or different air forces in Europe, they're practicing landing on highways, landing and taking off from highways. Now, if you think a little bit forward of why they would do that, why would you use a highway for a landing strip? You have your bases, right? Well, the reason why you would need the highways is if the bases are destroyed. If there was a first strike where they took out your runways, which are huge targets. As far as runways, they know where every single one of them is. It's not like, Russia or China doesn't have access to Google Maps or, their own Xinhua maps or whatever the heck they call theirs. So they know the locations of all these runways. They're pretty hard to hide from up above. So as far as this goes, it's even more and more countries are preparing for something like that. And that would also be saying that they're preparing for a potential first strike where they get hit before they know anything. That's my opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you over on DLive. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Blue Boy 1968. Again, thank you. Caitlin Sweat, thank you. Feathers, thank you. Sean Morgan, thank you. Craig Alicious, Wages World, Nana of Montana, Kagan's Looking Glass, Jerry Shirts 99, B-Roll Beast, and of course, Chanel Bivaliqua. I hope, Chanel, I believe I missed you yesterday, so I apologize about that. Thank you, and thank you, Chanel Bivaliqua. Maybe, yeah, that was yesterday. I'm sorry about that. Thank you, and thank you, Chanel Bivaliqua. All right, we're going to go over to our phones now. So let's see here. Remember, you can call in. First-time callers are highly encouraged. We have Geronimo, a first-time caller, calling from California. So Geronimo, if you want to hop in, you can. While we do that, I just want to make sure you guys know, if you do want to protect your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, anything from an EMP strike or multiple EMP strikes, or even a CME, a Carrington level event, then you would definitely want to go check out EMP Shield. This is the same company that has been working with agencies like DHS, Department of Homeland Security, DOD, Department of Defense, and now they are on the DEMPSO team protecting the Texas grid. So again, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's a very easy device to put in all of your vehicles. You can get it for your generators, your solar generators in the case of the Flex 1500. And you can actually put it even on your ham radios. There's all sorts of different devices for everything that you would want to protect. There's even a home version that when you have an electrician put this in, it will protect everything within 250 linear feet. So say an EMP does happen, all of the things plugged into your house would be protected. That means that after they're done, after all of the EMPs stop, you can hook it up to your generator and actually keep those things going. Or when the power does come back on, which if an EMP happens, it might be months, your stuff will actually work. The car version's much easier than, say, the home. The car version's 3 wires, red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and green ground it to a part of your frame. That's how easy that is. It's less than 10 minutes. It's super easy. Again, make sure to go check it out. And that's actually the micro. It is about 1/3 of the size of the regular one, all the same protection. Go to marfugglenews.com/EMP. You'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our independent channel. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We don't have a multi-channel network to protect us, and we don't have a team of lawyers if something goes wrong. We basically have to deal with that ourselves. So thank you guys for supporting us. All right, Dex, let's go over to Geronimo. Geronimo, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Oh, hey there, Marv. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Geronimo. What's happening?
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to just mention, I'm in real estate and I'm in California, and there's a new rule, not a new rule, a problem with the insurance for homeowners that they are not selling it, the companies like State Farm. So people that have deals going are stuck. We can't close our deals because we can't get the insurance to protect the property. It happened 2 weeks ago over the weekend. State Farm announced it first. Then Farmers and Allstate followed.
So why is this? Are they saying it's because they don't want to protect the properties? Did they give you any reason why? Is it because of a high risk for a natural disaster or what?
So there's 50 states, and a lot of the states do have problems like Dex was mentioning in Florida now. Recently, they've added hurricanes. Well, the problem is, yes, I did call State Farm and Allstate when I heard about it because I was in trouble with some projects we had going, and they did tell me that it's expensive to replace the materials, but I said I pay really high premiums on, we all pay premiums for our car insurance and whatnot. So, and I told them that's what they're in the business to do, is to be insuring us. So anyway, it's only California, and Dex mentioned now Florida with the hurricanes, but I feel like California likes to start plans that are like they're the testing ground somehow. You know what I mean, Marv?
Yeah, same with Seattle. Seattle does, especially during CV, they ended up doing a bunch of things that were kind of the framework. Florida, I wish everywhere took their example on certain things, but on others, like Florida, DeSantis put that thing in where you could pay a fine if you said something bad about the governor, right? That one didn't make sense.
I did hear that, and I just read. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. And I just read today, Florida, or yesterday, their inflation's at 10% because they were lured. I don't want to say lured. They were encouraged to move there, or they desired to move there under the, a desire to live a certain lifestyle. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but like the thing I'm worried about is that it's like I'm going to have to contact the Department of Insurance and find out, is this a state legislator law? Is this a government federal law? Because you have no idea the implications of not being able to insure residential real estate or commercial real estate. Or is it commercial? They said it was residential. Now I don't know if it's commercial.
Well, so, yeah.
It's really upsetting.
Do they know something well, by the way, the insurance companies, it's their job to know about potential risks. We talked about this on a previous show about how the insurance companies know before anybody else does, because they have all of the connections to try to know about this stuff so they don't end up losing money. Their whole thing is if a disaster happens, they have to pay out. So if they know about something that's possibly going to happen, they're not going to insure things. I just wonder what the disaster...
Oh, wow, that's crazy that you said that, Marv.
Well, think about it. They don't want to pay out the money. They want to insure things that are low risk.
No, I mean, why would they not insure California? Does that mean that something's going to... I mean, let's be honest, there's always risk, but that's weird that you said that to me. I'm like, do they have foreknowledge of something that's going to happen and they don't want to insure it? Or is this a trend that they're going to use to attack private property ownership?
I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering.
Again, Geronimo, good point. I don't know much about it, and I don't live in California. But of course, if you do live in California and you do know about this, give us a comment down below. Were you not able to get insurance recently because of this thing Geronimo is talking about? I'd love to hear it. Well, Geronimo, thank you for calling in today.
Oh, it was great talking to you, Marf. You're the best. The best. Hey, Chad, I got on with Marf the King, right, Marf?
Well, hey, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, you're great. Bye. Bye-bye now.
All right, bye-bye. Wouldn't say king, though. That's reserved for one crown. All right. Let's see here. And we have North Korea launches ICBM on a supposed record-breaking 74-minute flight. When these come out, you don't know if they're just, scaring the public as far as, or if it's Gando or not. But according to intelligence, if you were to believe some of the basic stuff they put out, it says that North Korea test fired a suspected intercontinental ballistic missile on Wednesday, July 12th. The missile may have been a new road-mobile Hwasong-18 ICBM, the Associated Press reported, citing experts. Japanese and South Korean news agencies first reported the test firing, citing their nation's respective militaries. The ICBM launched from the region around North Korea's capital, Pyongyang, at 10 a.m. local time on July 12th, reaching a maximum altitude of 3,700 miles, before landing in the sea between the Korean peninsula and Japan. It said Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno was quoted as saying the vehicle flew for 74 minutes, an hour and 14 minutes, making the longest recorded flight for a North Korean ballistic missile. The regime launched a liquid-fueled Hwasong-17 ICBM that flew for 71 minutes last year. North Korea's previous ICBM tests have reportedly been liquid-fueled missiles. The development of a solid-fueled ICBM would mean that North Korea can launch long-range attacks on shorter notice, as solid-fuel rockets need less launch preparation time than their liquid propellant counterparts. Solid rockets can be more easily moved and are thus harder to track. It says the test follows NK threatening shocking consequences as a response to what it described as reconnaissance activity near its territory conducted by the United States, the AP noted. Well, so that is the AP pointing out that this is odd timing considering they just threatened something, now they test. That's where it comes in and scares people. Like, part of the mainstream media thing. I do believe that they use things to scare people, and usually it's in batches, right? It's in these groups. So I do not doubt that North Korea will soon give us the scare for a few months where they're doing one thing after another. If you remember during T-Man's term, we had like a whole year of launches, and people were saying that it was going to be an all-out nuclear conflict. I think the technology, I think that they never let a good disaster go to waste. My personal thoughts after talking with so many military members, do not believe in an all-out nuclear exchange. I believe EMP would happen, a cyber event would happen before any of that. So, again, I do not think that they want to radiate the entire planet. I think that they are coming up with technologies like CL-20 to have huge explosions without the radiation. I think that they're working on ways that they don't have to do that. But as far as the one thing I do think would be possible is the tsunami nuke. If that thing is real, that would be a crazy way to take out countries and their coastlines, and honestly, parts of their infrastructure. And the water may be irradiated and it might do damage, but I don't think it would be as bad as straight up irradiating parts of land if you plan on taking them over. Even if it was just to destroy militaries out or navies out in the ocean, if you sent a huge, huge wave that just demolished them, we know from the tests from Marshall Islands and things that these things will just basically destroy all the ships in their way, especially the waves from it. Let's see here. Dex, did you blink the light at me? I didn't know if you wanted to jump in.
No, I did not.
Okay. And then if you want to call in 2244-00-MARF, that's again 2244-006273. First-time callers are highly, highly encouraged to call in. Kara Few says, God bless you all here tonight and those Marfooglers who aren't here too. Love from Southwest Louisiana, or hell for short. That's funny. I was just watching a comedian called Mutzy, and he was talking about that he's from New Orleans, and he's got this heavy New Orleans accent, and how everybody's like, "Oh, you're from New Orleans? That's so cool." And he basically said that he said, "Oh, well, I can give you the New Orleans experience right now." And he said he was just gonna. He goes, "Give me 10 hard drinks. I'll puke on your shoes and then rob you." Is that really what New Orleans is like? I've never been there, but I don't want to hate on anybody that lives there, but that's what they said. He said that New Orleans is like. I could imagine a bunch of drunk tourists, and if I was living in the, in that area, I couldn't take that. I can't really handle regular tourists, let alone drunk ones. Chinese email hack, Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and State Department officials among affected. So this email hack that went out, they're calling it a Chinese email hack, apparently affected some very high ranked officials. It says the email accounts of Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and officials from the State Department were among those affected by the breach carried out by Chinese hackers targeting a vulnerability in Microsoft's cloud platforms, officials confirmed on Wednesday. So this is actually, Microsoft has been involved in several hacks recently. Of course, they have been hacked, right? But I kind of think about how he just went to dinner at Xi's house, and they're basically accusing China and their country of hacking Microsoft when one of the big guys who basically started it and still has a lot of power over it, even though he's not on the chair or anything, is basically rubbing elbows with him at dinner. It says and that's just my opinion, both the Commerce Department and State Department confirmed to the press that the systems were affected by the breach. On Tuesday, Microsoft disclosed that around 25 organizations, including those some U.S. government entities, were affected by the hack. Now, we don't know what's going to come out of this. It doesn't look to be as big as like the SolarWinds hack, where they accessed all of our military branches, accessed all state governments. They accessed critical infrastructure. They accessed the Black Start program, which is what we would do in a grid down scenario. They accessed very specific places to actually be able to possibly even make themselves employee badges. This isn't, it doesn't look as big as this, but what if it was? Why are they going after these specific accounts, right? Don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, they always minimize a lot of these things. We don't know what's actually going on there, but you can let me know your opinion in the comments down below. Thank you over on D-Live. Thank you, everybody that has popped in so far. Thank you, Chance. Thank you, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, for hosting. Thank you for bringing all those people over. I appreciate that. Scooby-Doo Do-Right, thank you, and thank you. You guys got to go check out Scooby-Doo Do-Right over on D-Live. Forest Farmer, thank you. Kimbria, Skyhouse, Zenato, Philbilly, Poco Loco, and of course, One Aunt B. Thank you, along with Skyhouse and Zenato 19. And then U.S. Navy plane flies through the Taiwan Strait. China carries out more drills. So at the same time, Chinese fighter jets monitored a U.S. Navy patrol plane that flew through the sensitive Taiwan Strait on Thursday as China carried out a third day of military exercises to the south of the island Beijing views as China's sovereign territory, basically of Taiwan. China has been incensed by U.S. military missions through the narrow strait, most frequently of warships, occasionally of aircraft, saying that China has sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction over the waterway. Taiwan and the United States dispute that, saying that it is international waterway, that the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet said that the PA Poseidon Maritime Patrol and Reconnaissance plane, which I do believe that is a sub-hunter, is it not? Or only some of those P-8 Poseidons a sub-hunter. Maritime Patrol and Reconnaissance plane, which is also used for anti-submarine missions, it's through the Strait of the international airspace. By operating within the Taiwan Strait in accordance with international law, the United States upholds the navigational rights and freedoms of all nations. And they always give the same stupid line, basically that they're doing a thing of freedom of navigation and this and that. It says, quote, troops in the theater are always on high alert and will resolutely defend national sovereignty and security as well as regional peace and stability. And again, I think I've read that exact statement 50 times. They have these like cookie cutter responses, and they both do their cookie cutter responses. I guess the main point is, at some point, this will turn into something bigger. And they're preparing for something massive. But when you see these kind of interactions, they put it out all the time. They cover these things. This is not as big as some of the other things that are going on right now, but it does kind of show you that they are very consistent with how they are trying to hold off anything from Taiwan. So again, the warplanes and Taiwan's defense minister said Chinese warplanes and warships carried out a third day of exercises to the island south on Thursday, that it detected 26 aircraft, including advanced J-16 and Su-30 fighters, flying out to sea and, quote, responding to the U.S. Poseidon, which could be there looking for subs. It could be, who knows what it was really doing. So give us a call if you are, especially if you are military, if you want to give us your opinion on what is happening right now, if you think that things are about to go sideways, or if you think that we have time, give us a call. If you want to call us and tell us how you're prepping, whatever it is, 2244-006273. That number is right down below. And remember, you can find the number also on the webpage as well. Scooby-Doo Right, thank you again. Thank you for the diamond. I appreciate that. Thank you for hosting, though. More so bringing new people in. That's a really, really nice thing. And thank you, Chance, for holding it down along with Jammer. Thank both of you guys for modding. All right, we're going to go back over to the phones here. So we're going to be popping into the phones here in just a second. While we do, make sure to go over and check out Energy. This is one affiliate that I really do believe that I think that this will really save butts before anything happens. This has come in handy as far as any solar generator is great, but as far as these have come in handy specifically for regular power outs, for regular storms. I'm in kind of this weird weather zone where we have this tunnel. We lose power all the time. I've lost power more times than I can count on one hand in the last 3 or 4 years. So this has come in extremely handy. We used to, when we would lose power, we would have to go to a friend's house or a family member's house and stay because we have little kids. But we have not done that since we've had solar generators. I always keep them charged. On a sunny day, I can charge all of them. And then all of a sudden, when power goes out, we have it backed up and it's ready to go. So we can continue doing things like normal. Energy makes these expandable and modular systems. The Flex 1500 is one of their best. In fact, I believe it's only second to their own unit, which is the new Flex Tactical, which now has the 1,500-pound latches, the built-in heaters to every battery, and of course, even a ground built in. This thing is literally Army strong because it was designed by the U.S. Air Force, and they just got a SBR Phase 2 contract with the U.S. Army. So if you really do want the best, if you are somebody who tries to go for the top end of everything and the toughest and roughest, then this would be it, the Tactical. But right now, if you want something simple and that it has everything built into one that can hook up the solar panels, bring in power right off the bat, also make sure to go over and check out the X2. Those are on 15% sale plus our discount. So make sure to go over and get one of the remaining units. They make batches of these. When they get the lithium, they make the unit, and then they'll have as far as however many. And then now they are on basically the back end of that. So if you do get one of these, you're going to get a really, really great discount on top of ours. So go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Again, these are solar generators that are silent. You can't hear them from 3 blocks away. You can't hear them from 3 feet away. And of course, they don't take $5 a gallon gas. They hook up the solar panels, which now are extremely affordable. You can hook up a panel in your yard and basically charge it. If you don't have a yard, I know people that live in apartments that just put them up in their windows during the sun time. So marfugglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. All right, let's go over to our next caller, and we're actually going to pull this up. Let's see here. Big Bad John. Make sure to call 2244-00-MARF. Big Bad John, you're live.
Hey, Adam. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. So you wanted to talk about a 100-year cycle. Is that right? Can you explain?
Yeah. So people believe in cycles. Some people do, some people don't. There's 20-year cycles, 50-year cycles, 100-year cycles, and a lot of times you can put the numbers there and they'll match up, And for a short time there, when Vlad invaded, over there in the yellow blue country and whatnot, I was kind of hoping we were more of in a 50-year cycle, that'd be, 70s going to the 80s where, Vlad had invaded Afghanistan and, wasn't Vlad at the time, but you know what I mean? And, you had the CIA in there training people in Afghanistan to fight back or whatnot. We basically overspent Russia and broke them or whatnot. But it seems to be, in my opinion here, that we're more in a 100-year cycle, which would be right before the Great Depression. And if you look at a lot of the numbers for the United States right now, it is matching up. A lot of the charts you could almost place, from now for the last 2-3 years over the charts leading up into the late 20s, into the 30s or whatnot, and they almost match up. For example, you have the percentage of commercial real estate that is vacant right now is the highest it's been since the 20s. And then you have the amount of operating capital that the banks have right now. It's the lowest it's been since the 20s. You look at consumers and their bank accounts and whatnot, as far as savings versus debt. And, you go before the how should I say it? The virus, back in 2019, and everybody's savings was way up and their debt was way down. And you go, you zip forward to now and you're seeing where everybody's savings is down at the bottom and their debt is way up. And then you go to agriculture also, and you see where the amount of farmers walking away from wheat fields and whatnot is higher than it was before the Great Depression. You look at the yields of wheat, which of course there's conflict going on in some of the areas where there's a lot of wheat being produced, but you also have different places in the United States, China, Pakistan, and whatnot, where they've had torrential rain and whatnot that has just decimated crops or whatnot. So you're having the lowest yields in wheat since the Great Depression, since before then. So it seems like there's a lot of people kind of burying their heads in the sand, like we talked about the last time I called in, and they're just spin. But the numbers, the charts and whatnot are just showing things that maybe we might want to kind of back off a little bit and kind of be careful of what we're doing so that we're more prepared for things to crash down. I personally hope I'm completely wrong about this, and I hope that a lot of the people that watch these charts and do these economic forecasts are wrong as well. But it just seems like there's a lot of things right now that match up to a lot of the stuff that happened right before the 30s.
Now, I actually pulled up on screen. It shows the Dow Jones today and then the Dow Jones during the Great Depression. And they have all of these markers that line up. And it's yes, sir. It's pretty terrifying to watch some of the, people say that we cover some fear-mongering stuff. If you look at the actual financial sector, there's whole YouTube communities dedicated to this that basically follow every single financial event. And their shows are almost exactly like mine, but they go through 20 or 30 financial events per day. And if you look at them, they're all saying the same thing. What are they saying?
Yep.
We're not headed. We're headed towards a cliff.
One thing I want to point out too. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we're headed towards a cliff. Go ahead.
I believe so. Yes. And another thing too is you look at going into the late 20s into the 30s and whatnot. You had shanty towns in Central Park in New York and whatnot in different places, and you had people just trying to, it looked like places, down in South America where whatever cardboard and corrugated tin you could get together to make a house, Now that's not happening now, but what you do have is you look outside of some of the major cities in California and in Montana and different places, you'll see, and it's on ABC News and CBS and different things like that. It's not, like it's, some crackpot, it is literal news where you'll see caravans of RVs and vans and trucks and people hauling campers because they have been forced out of their homes because they can't afford it anymore. And there's convoys that are like several miles long in some of these areas.
We have several of those.
And to me,
here.
that's kind of like,
it's
kind of like maybe a modern version of those shanty towns.
Well, that those have grown significantly. I remember because I've told people there was a time in my early 20s where I actually rented. It was $25 a week or something like that, where I rented an RV from kind of a slum guy that he bought them at auction, and then he would rent them out to folks that were homeless or low income. And he basically, showed everybody, like, you got to move every 3 days. You got to, if it leaks, that's your problem. I mean, like, he was just, it was crazy. And I did that for, I don't even remember how long. It might have been over a year, but it was like we had to move every single 3 days, and the trailers that did move had to get towed. And there was about, I don't know, probably 20. I actually went by that same area. They have now expanded. It's probably 200 trailers over a 6-block radius. And that's just one.
Jeez Louise.
In Bellevue, there's another one right by the Walmart.
One area.
Oh, yeah, just one area. It's like the entire place, and they all move around so they don't get in trouble every 72 hours. And I don't know if it's changed. I think it was like 48 hours last time I looked. But, yeah, they have to move every 3 days. And it's like this, it's an entire kind of town in itself. They all know each other. I mean, like, we hop from trailer to trailer, camper to camper, and all hung out. But the bad thing is when you see that increase, you realize that these are a lot of folks that actually have jobs. A lot of them were working back then. I mean, we had people
middle class.
Yeah,
worked
at
a lot
Microsoft.
Of middle class people living like that.
Worked at Microsoft. I knew 3 guys who worked in the in the kitchen at Microsoft. A couple guys that worked as coders at Amazon. So I mean, like, that was back then too. Now I can't imagine, especially with the prices of renting and everything else. The average 1-bedroom apartment here is $2,000 a month. Like, that's insane. That's, if you're making minimum wage, you can't afford that, even with 2 people working minimum wage.
No, you sure can't. No, and the thing is too is while all this is going on, and it's not like you can't just go and look up these numbers, because you can. Anybody can go and look up all these economic indicators. They can look up all these newsreels and articles of the stuff going on, but they don't. And you've got our government basically telling us that, hey guys, everything's just fine. We added more jobs than we thought we would, and housing market's just fine, while these people are out there buying these homes with 9 to 15% interest rates. And you got people going out there buying new cars, and their payments are like $1,200 a month. And they're all like we talked the last time and tonight, they just seem to have their head buried in the sand. And when this all crashes down, I mean, that's going to be a big crash. Hopefully I'm wrong, like I said, but it just seems like it is really building up into a huge bubble. Even since the last time we talked about this, it has gotten even way worse.
No, I agree with you. And Big Bad John, thank you for calling in, and thank you for bringing this up. Somebody else said 75% of people think everything is fine. Yeah, I think that as well. I think that
what was that called? The normalcy syndrome?
Well, what is that syndrome where you fall in love with your captors? That's what
Yes, sir. Well, hopefully we can all get through this together and come to common ground as far as what we can do, because there are some positives in a lot of this stuff as well. I mean, it doesn't seem like there would be, but, there were more millionaires made during the Great Depression than there was in any other time in history.
Yeah, and during CV, there was more billionaires made, just Absolutely insane.
That wasn't so good though, was it?
Nope. And Stockholm.
No, sir.
That's what it is. Stockholm says heart and arrow and
Oh gosh.
yeah, Stockholm syndrome. That's what 50% of the people have.
And we haven't even touched the possibility of a WWIII at this point. Which seems to be, since the last time we talked, which was last year, I believe. It just seems like that has ramped up even more as well, and the rhetoric in what they're saying, and it just seems like, I don't know. We'll see, right? Hopefully, let's pray for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Well, John,
that's all I can say.
John, that the rhetoric and stuff is why people don't believe it's going to happen, because it's like the boy who cries wolf,
right?
And now everybody is to the point where they've been lied to so much that they don't pay attention to it. They're not going to react, and then when it does finally hit us, no one is going to move a thumb. That's why for the prepper community,
and then they're gonna,
you got to look out for the signs.
Why didn't we know this?
Yep. Our community will know, and our community will see the signs. If you see your cell phone is out, your power is out, your car won't start, you need to realize you have like 24 hours to figure everything out, because it's all about to go down. Most people will not. It will take people 2 days, 3 days to figure out what is truly happening. It won't take us but 20 minutes. We're all going to know what's going on. Well, thank you, John.
And if something more severe happens, you'll have less time than that.
Yeah.
There's always a possibility of anything happening. Not wanting to go there, but I mean, at that point, if you're going to worry about something, your reaction time could literally be within 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what's going on. It can happen so fast. And of course, we're not going to know. They're not going to tell us, because just look what happened in yellow and blue country when things kicked off there. They didn't tell the people what was going on, because they didn't want them to crowd the streets so that the military and the emergency services could get to where they needed to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think if something really kicks off at some point, hopefully it won't, of course, we will definitely be the last to know, because they're not gonna want panic in the streets. They're gonna want to get to positions where they can either react to the threat, and also in positions to where they can, help people, depending on what the threat is, of course, and if you got people running willy-nilly all over the place, running into each other with cars and whatever, you know how that goes, they're not going to be able to operate the way they need to. So chances are we'll probably, if anything kicks off, we're going to hear from people like you and other social media before we even find out anything from the professionals, per se.
Well, the point, John, is that we're telling people now, when it happens, we're not going to be here.
Yes, sir.
So we're not going to be able to tell people after it happens, to tell people before. I think that this is the best way that this is going to help our community. Everybody talking about this is because we won't be around. The internet's not going to, if something really happens to the to the internet, it all goes down, infrastructure goes down. There's not going to be anybody that's going to tell you. There might not even be a emergency alert. We don't know. So when that happens, going through this a million times in your head, it's going to be as if you practiced or you war gamed this out. And when it does happen, I think that that's going to help, because those that have not war gamed this out in their head are going to be in a really bad place. It's going to hit them like a brick on the side of the head. And think about if you've ever had to panic in 2 seconds and had to do something. Most of us have sort of a basic plan, and that's why we say have a basic plan. Because if you don't have a basic plan, when it does happen, you're not going to know what to do. So that's why we say it every day.
Yes, sir. And it'll be up to people like us to try to help out those that aren't prepared best we can.
Well, thank you, John. Again, always a pleasure. And don't make it another year. You can call back anytime. Don't be a stranger.
It may not have been a year. Hey, next time I talk to you, I want to talk to you about what you dreamed about back in the day as far as, nuclear war and things like that, because I'm really interested in that. And I might have a few things to talk to you about myself on that one.
Yeah, I had yachts floating in the sky and pieces of land, and it was
back
nuts.
In the day.
Yep. When I was 17.
Yes,
maybe.
sir.
Well, thank you, John. I
Absolutely.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Hey, it's always good talking to you, Adam. You take care, sir. And God bless all the Mar family out there, guys.
All right. Well, thank you. Always a pleasure. Bye-bye. That was Big Bad John from California, I think. Yeah. That was Big Bad John from Texas. Even better. You guys have your own grid out there, so you guys will be in a lot better position, or maybe a worse position. I don't know. I don't know if that makes, but you guys have big highways. There's a lot of reasons why being in Texas when everything goes down is going to be a better thing. Even those giant highways that you guys have, or freeways, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't some of your main highways have like 8 lanes, 10 lanes, just gigantic? Everything is big in Texas, like they say, but that's going to be good. When you have places like, we talk about ocean shores, right? When Cascadia Subduction Zone happens, that place is going to be a giant graveyard because they have one road in and one road out. In fact, even if both lanes were turned to an out, there's not going to be enough, especially during summer. It's like a 30-minute drive out of that town, and all that 30 minutes of driving out is going to be underwater. So there's no way they're getting away. They have 15 minutes before the wave hits, before the tsunami hits. This is going to happen, and they have 30 minutes to get out of the way. They're goners. Like, people there know it. Everybody I've interviewed in Ocean Shores, they literally have boats tied to the side of their shops. Like, that's how they think that they're going to survive somehow. Some of them even believe that they're going to climb the one tower in town. The one tower in town is like 10 feet under the inundation zone. So that will be underwater. So, like, it's just crazy to think of places like that. And then places in the middle. Seattle, worst traffic ever. I don't know how it compares to other cities, but I would say it's like LA traffic or something like that. That's during normal days. Then imagine, say, all the cars on the highway end up stopping from an EMP. Or say you get lucky and there's nobody on the freeway, it's off hours, and something happens. Either way, people are all going to be trying to get out of the urban areas. They're going to be trying to exit as fast as they can. And when, like on a Friday night on a full moon, you have bad accidents. Just imagine when everybody is panicked. It's going to be bad. That's why I have actually looked into, and I'm trying to get, I want to look into electric protected bikes that can fold and fit into your trunk. And this sounds crazy, but this is to the next level kind of stuff. If you are in your car, and I thought about this, and I told you guys about this during the Hawaii incident, that didn't like think this idea up. I'm sure people already do this, but to have a foldable electric bike or a gas powered bike that could go in your trunk at all times if the freeway stops and you have 25 minutes to get out of somewhere, that you pop that foldable bike out and like a gas powered bike that goes 30 or 40 miles an hour and get the heck out of town. Because I know that there's places that are out of the, zone of, say, a nuke or just get out of town quick that could get, if they're 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, that you could literally get out of town through the back roads, or, some of them have mountain bike tires. Like, you could use the trails with it. But I thought about that. So I'm trying to look into which ones those would be and like good ones, because I think that would be really cool. I even looked into the trailers. Like, if my kids aren't old enough, the trailers that can be towed behind that have, those little pod trailers that the kids can ride in. But I mean, like, that's going a bit beyond, right? But again, this is news from a prepper standpoint. We're thinking about these things. We're gaming them out, because look at what's already happened. We thought about CV before CV happened. We thought about it. We said, look at all the signs. This is going to happen. Now we see the signs for not only depression, for financial collapse, for all sorts of different disasters that may happen, especially if you live on the West Coast. But we see all of these signs lining up. And you could say that there's maybe a higher power that's going to line these all up at the same time. Or you could say that it's being a pessimist, whatever you want to say. But there's some of us that really do care, and we don't care what other people think. We're going to do it anyways. Air Force general who predicted war with China leads unprecedented training exercise. Now, again, we've talked about him before. 1,000 feet over Tinian Island, Northern Mariana Islands, U.S. Air Force Captain Brendan Biggie Small peers out the window of a C-130 as roughly a dozen other aircraft deploy parachutes carrying other supplies to a group of troops assembled now. It says below, the mission is part of training exercise involving 70 aircraft and more than 3,000 airmen from 7 countries, the largest readiness exercise in Air Mobility Command history. On this scale, it's really unprecedented, Small says. For the first time, the exercise called Mobility Guardian is focusing on the Pacific as the U.S. gears up for potential conflict with China. Over 2 weeks, airmen from the U.S. and its allies are practicing resupply missions, aerial refueling, and medical evacuations at bases in Hawaii, Guam, Australia, and Japan. Now, Dex, I don't know if you can pop off. I know that you have, it looks like, I just want to point out, listen to the places that are listed there. I know you have Cody lined up on deck. Is it possible for you to pop in here?
I'm here.
Okay, so we've talked about this, and specifically, do you guys remember how we've talked about this, how they've mentioned, Australia was never part of it, but Guam, Hawaii, and Japan is going to be a part of China's plan, according to the military folks that we've talked to, that it's not just them taking Taiwan. That's why Japan is so up in arms. Dex, isn't it kind of crazy that they're literally practicing basically evacuations at bases in Hawaii, Guam, Australia, and Japan?
Well, absolutely. I mean, those bases would be targeted, and evacuation is what I guess you would do if you're under heavy assault. So everything that they're practicing and they're talking about here is exactly what they would be doing for a conflict with China. And this is all, I guess, being under the head of Mike Minahan, who we have talked about quite a bit, and he's had some famous quotes that he's said out there before about China.
And he told his troops to get ready by 2025. Mike Minahan also just did a huge decision to remove markings on a majority, some say all of the planes. They removed identifying markers on their planes. Now, why would they do that? You tell me, okay? Any ex-Air Force, tell me why they would remove identifiers, which they admit is so that they're not readily identifiable. And now they're drilling, getting people. And by the way, we talked about the specific plan where China would not only take Taiwan, they would take Hawaii, they would take Guam, and they would take Japan. We talked about that specific thing a year before anybody mentioned it in mainstream. And that's because of Fugel fam military that said, no, this is what we're drilling for, and this is what we think is going to happen. And now it is all coming out, and they're practicing evacuating those places. Bases in Australia, Guam, Hawaii, and Japan. Because if China takes this area, they're not going to just take Taiwan. Or at least that's the belief of Japan. Japan has strictly said, like, they are coming for us too. They want control of that part of the world. If they take control, if they take control, they wouldn't have to take control of the USA or any other big country. If they take control of Hawaii, Guam, and Japan, and I wouldn't even throw Australian in there, just Hawaii, even if Hawaii and Guam would give them huge power. They have actually shown how much world power they would be able to hold if they held those areas. If they have Japan, and heck, if you throw Australian in there, they would own the world. They would have world domination. And that's not from me. That's from, they say, if they control those areas, they will then control the world market. They'll control the waterways. They'll control all sorts of important things that will give them the edge to out-edge and to push America off the top. So, like, this is nuts. Mike Minahan has, again, sent out memos telling his men to get ready for war with China by 2025, which it's eerily getting closer and closer. We're almost to the end of 2023. I mean, it seems like yesterday, the beginning of this whole Russia thing happened. Now we're almost at the next year. We're already a year plus in. So this time goes faster as you get older. I know you guys know this, but it's just like, it's coming along. And at the same time, 2025, if the war with China doesn't happen, we're also looking at several other events like the solar peak, the solar maximum, everything that's happening with the Deagle report, this huge kind of theory around 2024, 2025. All these things are lining up. It's getting to the point where it's too many things to be a coincidence. What do you guys think? Give us a call at 224-400-MARF. El Snapatan, thank you for subscribing. Captain Girl, thank you for subscribing. And as always, if you subscribe during the show, I will, of course, shout you out. And thank you. Thank you. What is that? DX19, thank you so much. We have Linda, thank you. Linda Briggs. And then Roger Langle, thank you so much for subscribing. And then again, thank you, Kara Fuse, and thank you, Puppet 007. And then we have severed fingertips sent in a letter to Macron. Wonder if that's a sign. It says that French prosecutors said Thursday that they had opened an investigation after the discovery of a severed fingertip in a letter addressed to the presidential palace. The gruesome find was reported to the staff working for the President Emmanuel Macron at the beginning of the week, with a police called in to investigate. According to the Valeurs Actuelles magazine, which first reported the story, the fingertip is believed to have belonged to the sender of the letter, who suffers from psychiatric problems. A source close to the investigation told AFP on the condition of anonymity. Between 1,000 and 1,500 emails and letters are addressed to Macron each day, and they were monitored and scanned by a 70-strong team working from offices away from the main Elysee Palace in central Paris. Macron is known to monitor them as an insight into public opinion and occasionally responds with handwritten messages. I'm kind of surprised about that. And it says his office declined to comment when contacted by AFP about the finger. So he supposedly got the tip of a finger. Why? Do you guys have any idea? Like, is that symbolic in any way? I don't know. I will point out, it makes me think of this thing, and it was Susan Donahue that posted a thing of, and I don't want to do the symbols because then somebody will freeze frame that, but it was this symbol of Baphomet, and it's done with 2 fingers down, so I'll just do the whole hand, but minus 3 fingers down in one hand, and 2 fingers up in the other, and they do this thing. I can't even do it without doing it, but one hand up, one hand down. And it's 2 fingers, right? I don't know if any of you have seen the newest Transformers, but I was blown away. First of all, Transformers got flack about 6 months ago. Their cartoon basically started introducing things like pronouns and things like that. They've been getting flack for that. Well, this new movie basically went in this just super, super different direction. Basically had hip hop the whole time. They went a certain direction with it. I didn't think that part was bad. The guy and his little brother, they do this handshake, the secret handshake, and it was where they were like home team, and they do 2 fingers like that, and then the other brother, they basically go up and down, and then pound it out. And if it wasn't for seeing that picture of the Baphomet, that I wouldn't have seen that, like how it basically does 2 fingers up, 2 fingers down, and then they do a fist pound, right? A fist bump. And I'm like, a lot of people don't think that there's any symbolic things, or they go, oh, you're just this and that. I've never seen a handshake like that. I've never seen a 2-finger thing like that. It was just so very specific of them doing that symbol, both up and down. And I thought, man, that's just like too out in your face. I do agree that like some of the stuff that some folks get into is just like way over the top. It's like, whoa, that you're making connections out of nothing. Like, oh, you can find connections between a lot of things. But there are symbolism. There is symbolism all over the place. It is everywhere. And when you do start seeing it, it makes you question, like, really, how can they think of this stuff? And how it's got to be a higher power to put this thing in, because you think about how these logos are made, how they come about. If some random person makes it, it has to be some sort of higher power rearranging things to have these symbols and these things pop into place. And it could be a lower power, actually, if you think about the evil ones. So a higher power in some cases and a lower power in others. What do you guys think about that? Have you noticed that? And did you see the Transformers movie and the handshake they did? Go look at the Baphomet thing. It's creepy. And it's like, somebody decided that as the handshake. I just thought it was something very interesting. And I wouldn't have noticed if it wasn't for Susan Donahue's post with the pictures of that. And then fired Russian general's remarks, the latest in a sign of disarray in military leadership. Says turmoil has engulfed the leadership ranks of the Russian military nearly 3 weeks after a failed mutiny. So a fake, they should just say fake, failed mutiny, posing new distractions and risk for Moscow's forces as they try to fend off a UKR counteroffensive. It says the latest sign of disarray emerged with the release late Wednesday of a 4-minute recording in which a top Russian general fired from his post commanding troops on the critical Zaporizhia front accused the military leadership of inflicting a blow on his forces at a challenging time. Major General Ivan Popov had been commanding Russia's 58th Combined Arms Army until he was removed in what is described as a retribution for voicing the truth about battlefield problems to senior leadership. One thing that I think people are going to have to wonder about when these things happen, and I couldn't find anything on. I didn't see any accusation that this might be fake or deep fake or fake audio or whatever. But now any audio file, any movie or video file is now questionable. If a regular person, let alone a YouTuber, can make an accurate video to the point where people are convinced that that actual person is doing something, or an audio file that is so incredibly easy to fake, then we'll never again be able to listen to a recorded audio and know if, that's the real thing or not. I don't even know how they're going to do this in like big cases. Think about like phone messages and things like that. Will audio and video evidence even be admissible in the future? It's kind of crazy. But as far as this goes, there's so much Ganda. We don't know what is actually happening here. The Western narrative is that Russia's falling apart, that their military is in disarray, they're in shambles, they're completely failing. A lot of folks that are just, really dedicated to the truth do try to mix in between, that they've admitted some fault, but they're not failing. They're purposely holding back on some stuff. So it doesn't sound like they're failing. If they're failing by choice. Dex, go ahead.
What was interesting is this story started off with just what Popov said. And it was, the statements he was making, and that everybody was going, wow, he's really, going after, but he was doing it in a much more professional way. They didn't say it was like Prigozhin, who was very, boisterous and, arrogant with his statements on social media. This one was much more composed and professional, but he was calling out a significant problem. That was the news story. And then literally it wasn't like 3 or 4 hours later, it's like, oh, and now he's been removed from his position. So that happened pretty quickly.
And AJ says, is it true about the celebrities going on strike? Yes, there is actually. And then there's been a lot of strikes lately. There was the other one where there was no late night television, all of that. We'll talk about that actually in a couple seconds here. AJ, good question. We'll cover that. The Service Channel, thank you, has subscribed. Hey, thank you, the Service Channel. And again, El Snapatan and Captain Girl, thank you. All right, and let's see here. Let's go to our next caller. We have Cody on the line. So Cody, if you want to pop in now, while we're waiting for Cody, remember you can always go over to get long-term survival food at marfooglenews.com/prep. Any of the affiliates that we have on the show are affiliates that we believe in, that we think are a perfect solution to some of the things that we talk about. Now, it also helps us in a huge way. Not only do you help us financially, you get a huge discount when you do this, and you're possibly saving your butt down the road. This is freeze-dried food that will last 25 years. So again, over 2 decades, you could open this in 2052 and add water and cook it and eat it. Some things you just add water and you eat. Again, some things you can just eat in 25 years from now. So it's a really great kit. You have a 1-month supply for $80 off right now, which is actually a greater thing if you are getting even more in bulk. Because if you end up getting a 3-month, like the previous sale was $200 off, now if you get 3 months, you get $80 off on each. That's $240 off. So make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. Right now is the best deal since we've been with them for 3 years, I think now. So again, this is one of the most affordable ways to get food in bulk that's freeze-dried. There's all sorts of great companies, but I think the one great thing about this is some of the other companies are triple the price than even this. And all freeze-dried food has tripled in just the last 3 years, 4 years. Since CV started, freeze-dried food has skyrocketed. So if you do get this now, in 5 years from now, say it's skyrocketed to 3 times the price again, then you will have 20 years left on the shelf and you won't have to purchase it at tomorrow's prices. So that's another good thing. It's not going to, freeze-dried food isn't going to change. Food's not going to change in 5 years. We're not going to be eating, cricket Oreos or something. So again, this is a great thing to have, and it's a great and easy way to stock up a whole lot all in one go and to have your staples right there ready to go. marfooglenews.com/prep. Thank you guys, and thank you for supporting Independent. If it wasn't for support from you guys, we would not be able to do this show. So thank you. Dex, let's I would still do it, but it would be me back in my car doing it on my brakes. All right, Dex, let's see here. Let's get Cody on. Cody, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hello, Foogle fam. Hello, Adam.
Hey, Cody. So you wanted to talk about, let's see here. You wanted to talk about the G7 summit and deployment of troops.
Yes, I would like to talk about the G7 basically endorsement for the yellow and blue country. Basically, I would like to say that based on logistics, I don't think that we are prepared by any means, not only to take on the Russians, but by any means, any of the PAC nations. I don't think that we could take on the amount of citizens that they have, the amount of resources that they have. As you know, our oil resources are depleted that we had on reserve. We no longer drill in this country. We no longer produce in this country for the most part. Most of our pharmaceuticals come from other countries. I think you could see where that's going.
Yeah,
we are
90%.
not in a position.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we're not in a position at this point.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're not in a position at this point to be pushing forward with these demands and what these other countries should be doing. We, like you, with the last caller that called in, the barrier islands, if they take Hawaii, if they take Guam, if they take the Philippines, our trading routes are cut off. We're sitting ducks. Yep.
And that's exactly what they've simulated. I was just there's a delay, and every time there's a delay, it's always bad. 90% of our APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, come from China. 97% of our APIs, 90% of our actual antibiotics come from China. 97% of the APIs used to make those antibiotics come from China. So it's kind of like they've got us in a headlock for pharmaceuticals. That's kind of bad. Go ahead, Cody.
Well, pharmaceuticals, even down to the steel industry. What happens if we start having these carriers and subs subsequently that are destroyed? How are we going to bump up production when we have practically no facilities here in the United States?
And that's a question everyone is asking right now. I don't think the majority of folks realize how little we produce compared to what we used to produce in the United States, say, pre 1970s. It's a huge it's a huge ordeal, and I don't know if the solution is to bring everything back, but that's not really, doesn't fit into the current economy. So something would have to be reset for something to change. We're basically dependent on a country that is our adversary. Multiple countries.
No doubt. No doubt. And I think that our adversaries are seeing this. They're going to South America, and they're going to a lot of these developing countries, and they are creating industry with cheap labor, and it's going to undermine us completely.
Yeah, the Belt and Road Initiative and all of these countries, they're basically opening up factories there, and they're having their personal labor done there for other things, and they're setting up and essentially expanding China. That's from the folks that I have talked to. They said that's essentially what when they default on these loans that China gives them, they're essentially then owing China, and then China goes, well, we can work out a deal here, and they essentially get power out of it. So yeah, not good.
But again, I just thought I would voice in my opinion. I hope you're doing well, and I'll let the next caller call in.
All right. Well, thank you, Cody, and I appreciate you. And it's your first time call. Don't make it your last, okay?
All right, brother. Take it easy.
All right. Don't be a stranger. That was Cody from Florida. Let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments down below. Do you agree with Cody? Do you have your own theory there? All right, and then we have SAG-AFTRA calls history-making strike as talks with studios collapse. Dex, do you want to cover this? This is we talked about the Writers Guild a little bit ago. There were some stuff really started popping off when all of the writers started kind of doing their strike. And there was a lack of late night television and all of these shows that basically have daily writers. Now you have the SAG-AFTRA, and apparently they're making history now.
It's just ramping up even more in the Hollywood front. If this is of importance to you, I know some people don't care what goes on in Hollywood. And I totally understand that sentiment. And we kind of joked maybe the late night TV shows would get better if they had no writers because they would go off air. But nonetheless, it seems like they're now hitting a bigger stoppage because now the collapse is not just the writers, but it's going to production, physical production as well. So, looks like if this continues, this could be a big deal in the sense that Hollywood is, going to not be pumping out TV shows and movies for us. And I guess we won't have China over there telling them what to do either.
Yeah. So you have the Screen Actors Guild, which most of the big actors are a part of. And as far as the WG, the Writers Guild of America, that is also it had its big strike. Now you have one of the first double strikes involving both actors and scribes since 1960. There's a lot of us that don't care about it. I know there's some of you that probably don't want to scream out in chat that you do care because you may watch shows that are actually going to get canceled or television or whatever else to keep your mind off of the craziness of the world. There is one thing to be said about some of the better shows that are out there. I mean, shoot, I've been hooked on shows like Yellowstone. That was a show that I watched. Literally all three of the shows revolving around that. I think stuff like that would end up getting affected. I bet you there's going to be big shows that everybody watches that essentially just get delayed a year, 2 years, whatever else. But is this a sign of something bigger? Some of the lower people in Hollywood essentially are, and higher up, they're even struggling to the point. So, I mean, we're falling apart at the seams here in the U.S., or at least that's the picture that's being painted. Dex, go ahead.
I would say don't panic either, because all of the good stuff, it seems like, was already made. So go back in time, watch some of the old TV shows. You don't have to go way back. I mean, you can even go back, 10 years. It's better than it is what comes out this year. I mean, for what is it? The 70s show is phenomenally funny. The remake of it is like, I don't like it at all. But
Horrible.
yeah, there's plenty. Yeah, it's horrible. But there's plenty of good stuff to watch. So just because they got to go on strike doesn't mean it's we can't entertain ourselves if that's what you like to do and watch TV.
Yeah, it happened to be like on autoplay after a video I watched, and the movie Year One with like Jack Black. And Jack Black, by the way, any actor that's still acting right now has basically, and I think he even talks about selling his soul to the devil. But almost every actor nowadays that's still around and still gets to host things or do anything else, they're basically, if they do believe anything else but what they're spewing, they have basically sold out to continue to work. Because if you hear the actors and some of the people that have been canceled, it's like they say that almost all these actors don't agree with this whole new movement thing that's been going on the last 5 years. They have to. They have no choice. Otherwise, they do not work. They have basically canceled anybody that speaks up against them. Even a single tweet will end your career in Hollywood. And that's how they keep a leash on this whole movement thing. They just cut the money out. They cut the money out, and then everything follows. And if you want to lose your career real quick, you'll speak up against it. But there are some really good people that have spoke up against it. Take Jim Caviezel, for instance. He basically said like one sentence, and then all of a sudden he was blacklisted from all of the movie companies. His career was over. But obviously he's made a comeback recently, but it's been years since that happened. Look at authors that say one statement that literally 15 years ago would have been like, oh yeah. Or 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, our president actually said in his campaign, that same thing, if that president said it now, you would get canceled. If you said the same thing that our current president says in his 2016 campaign or 2020, I think it was 2020. Yeah, that you would be canceled. No, it was 2016. You would get canceled. Dex, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what is your current shows you're watching? And I'll tell you mine at the moment. It's I think it's on Prime. It's Jack Ryan, that whole series, the CIA kind of stuff.
Utopia.
Cool.
Utopia.
You're doing Utopia.
No.
Okay.
I did the last one I watched was the 2020 version, and then I watched the British 2012 version. That was the last show that the last show I watched was 1883, which was the extension of Yellowstone. That took a while to get through all three series. The 1923 though one with I didn't think that one was good with Indiana Jones. Either way, yeah, Jack Ryan. I haven't watched that one. I get that one confused. There's a bunch of them that are Jack Reacher. Isn't there a Jack Reacher too? There's a Reacher and a Ryan.
that's Tom Cruise movies. But yeah, the Jack Ryan stuff is based off the book. I can't remember who.
Well, and they have a Reacher show. They have a Reacher show and a Reacher.
Oh,
movie.
do they?
Yep. Either way, it's and then I tried watching the Navy SEAL one that you said that where they show the real kind of science, or they base it off the real science of all the stuff, the cool stuff the SEALs do.
Yeah, that was good. I made it through all of that.
What is that one called again?
I think it's just called SEALs or SEAL Team. I think it's SEAL Team.
Yeah, they do some cool stuff. All right, and then what's your favorite show that you're watching? Do you have any suggestion for the rest of the Foogle fam that you think is good? I bet you though, whatever you're going to say, other people are going to say, that has this in it or that has a, I stopped really caring about that. Like I wore an Adidas hat once and people just like lost it on me. And I didn't realize it was around the same time as like the whole Adidas and Kanye thing, whatever else. I wore like I wore some sort of shirt, but I basically explained to people, like, I buy my shirts at Walmart and or Fred Meyer or Target, whatever $10 t-shirts. I buy my shoes. I don't buy the ones with the logos, because I buy the cheap $10, $15, $20 shoes, because I don't care about my clothes. Every one of my shirts is like the off-brand tag or whatever it's called. And I just never have, if it was an Adidas hat, it was an Adidas hat because it was like on sale for $8 or something. So I just never have cared about what is on it or whatever, but people freak out. I get why now, but it's just like, at the same time, it's not like I'm wearing $12,000 dresses or suits like these congressmen and congresswomen. And then AI doomsday scenario are gaining traction in Silicon Valley. Dex, can you explain why AI doomsday scenarios are getting popular?
Well, it seems like there's plenty of voices that are coming out now, additional voices, especially around Silicon Valley, that are saying, look, we don't really know, and we don't think, and one of the quotes is, I think we're not ready. I think we don't know what we're doing, and I think we're all going to perish, according to Yudnowski, who said on this week's episode that he was talking about AI. So we're getting a lot more of the I don't call it leadership, but at least the people in Silicon Valley that are, sort of at the pulse of AI, that are working in this industry, so to speak, that are coming out and starting to say, yeah, look, this is not looking good. Like, we don't know what we're doing. Things are going to run off the rails, so to speak. And this whole doom and gloom, or, these scenarios, these doomsday-like scenarios that people talk about, it's not unfathomable. It's probably very likely, is what a lot of them are sort of hedging and saying, we've got to be much more careful with what's going on. But nothing's happening. Everybody's still moving forward. Everybody's still working. Nobody's thrown up their hands and said, no, I'm not doing it. But they all at the same time turn around and go, yeah, this is pretty scary, because they're seeing what it is they're building.
Yeah, and what they are building, this whole system of AI, it's going to be in everything. And this is what I'm afraid of. So say this place, right? Once they really hand the keys over to AI and stuff, they'll be able to completely control the flow of content, everything. They already have algorithms, right? But once they do that, if there's anybody that goes against the narrative, it's just going to slowly disappear. Completely. So even if you look that person up, they might have things that will make it basically virtually impossible, where you'll have to continually type in that person's name every single time. That's coming quicker than anything. By the way, great suggestions on the chat. Silo, Craig Alicious said Silo, best show to come out in a long time, in my opinion. Meepup007 says Jack Reacher, Amazon Prime. Reverend Brian York says, great show tonight. Much love to all Foogle fam. We got 1 EMP shield. We'll try for 2 more. Great company. Thanks, Adam and Dex and Mods. Hey, Reverend Brian York, thank you. And thank you, Reverend. Appreciate you. And definitely the vehicle ones are really important if you want to get out or get home. And then B-Roll Beast, watch you, of course. Somebody else said Timcast. I wouldn't consider Timcast, like TV, the Screen Actors Guild isn't going to affect Timcast. Or if it does, then that would be a big flag. But independents really aren't affected by unions and stuff like that. But there was some great comments. Somebody said a good one, and it was scrolled by so fast. It was Michael said, sorry about my comment a while back about your shirt. I didn't remember it was you, to be honest. And I don't know if I even saw that one. I more remember the comment about the hat. And I realized it was right around when Adidas canceled Kanye. And I think that's why people were mad. Or it was because what Adidas stands for, right? But if Adidas has been on sale, if Nike's been on sale, if any of those have been on sale, I never cared about clothes. I never cared about, I also didn't care about wearing logos either. You know, some people I knew, they would tape over logos and all that. I wore clothes, you know. I was more about the comfort of them. Dex, go ahead.
You didn't get the memo? You and I are unionizing.
Yeah. Yeah, with we're
so we can fight amongst ourselves.
yeah, we should, right? And then we can go on strike.
Power to the people.
Yeah. Ask for, I don't know what we would ask for. Yeah, unfortunately, you know, people, I guess they do have kind of a union with YouTube channels. They have multi-channel networks, right? People don't understand multi-channel networks. I don't think they're necessarily a bad thing, but the thing is like multi-channel networks, what it is it's a third-party company that takes a percentage out, and in return, they usually have some sort of connection with YouTube, and then all of these same channels, they pick everything you do. They pick your advertisements, they pick your stuff, they pick they always line you up with different stuff, and if you get knocked off, sometimes they can get you back on. But there's some big multi-channel networks that literally, there was a lot of channels during the whole 17 thing when they all got knocked out. They basically couldn't do anything. None of those people were able to get back on, even though they were part of it. But when I say that, so people say, well, this other channel says those words that you don't say, and you say some other thing. Well, those channels might be part of a multi-channel network. We're not. We've always stayed completely and truly independent. There's also different MCNs that basically there's different rules they have to follow by. So they won't be able to say certain things, or they won't be able to do that. We have stayed completely independent since day one. And we've been completely crowdfunded. So as far as that goes, and we've picked our own affiliates. We've picked every affiliate we've had. It's something that we have had. So it's something that we have reached out and, did that. So that's one thing. But if we get booted off, we don't have a team trying to get us back on. We don't have that. Either way, I only know one YouTuber that got back on after 6 months because of their MCN, and that was a good, that was because it wasn't related to that whole big thing. And then CEO fires 90% of support staff, saying AI outperforms them. Dex, this is insanity.
This is a little controversial in the sense that, obviously the headline says it all. But some are suggesting that he was just putting this out there because he was having to lay off people anyway, and he was trying to look for an excuse. But his argument is like, look, I got this. I use a bot. I took a bot like ChatGPT, et cetera, using AI, and it's able to answer my questions for my customers. And I got my hold times down from 2 hours, or response times down from multiple hours to now minutes. Because of the efficiency. So he didn't need all those people, so he let him go. Now, others are saying he's full of it. He let him go because he had financial problems, and that's the story. But nonetheless, this is the type of thing that we're seeing, and the sentiment is absolutely there with the way AI is proliferating across the business world.
Yeah, if you have a support job, and I've always hated the fake customer service, like, the worst is when they pretend like they're not a robot, where you guys know this sound too. Oops. You guys get what I'm saying, though. I should turn it off then first. Yeah. Have you ever heard that on a customer service call where they say, what is your account number? And then you have to say it or type it in. When I hear that, I get so frustrated. I'm like, why are you even trying to pretend? Like, is that supposed to make me feel better that you give me the typing sound? I think it was one of the prepaid cell phone companies. It was like Metro or something that had that. It was so annoying. And then teen with 2-foot tail is worshipped as Hindu monkey god, but he wants it gone. I bet. A teenage boy who has a 2-foot-long tail is worshipped in India as a Hindu monkey god. Suresh, 14-year-old, has a bizarre clump of black hair growing from the bottom of his back, extending outward just like a tail. I like, for some reason I thought, do you remember in the 90s when everybody had like this shaved head, but they kept the rat tail? It was kind of like I don't know if it was a cultural thing, because I saw all sorts of people have it. The grossest part is it's like dreaded. That is that the front or the back? Why is his belt back there? That's just odd.
Long belt.
Yeah. Is it even a belt, or is that like a caution tape? I don't know. Either way,
Look at the hands.
yeah. What do you mean? They're backwards. Yeah, that's the back.
Yeah, that's his back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, this kid's he's struggled with this. He's tried to keep it cut and things like that. He gets picked on. Of course, some people worship him, which he doesn't like that either. He sort of wishes none of this happened, but it's a rare thing, the doctors are saying. And
but how fast does it grow?
I don't know what the speed is, but he said they burnt it before. They've when he was young, they said that his father tried to slice it off of him, as a young child, but that was ineffective as well. So poor kid, man.
Is this but if it's just hair, then there's no way that grows in a day. If that grows in a day, then we might have like a sign of the times or something. But if you have scissors or even a sharp object, you cut it off and then you just have a patch of hair on your back. That's what I don't understand. Like, is there a reason why it's not cut off? Does it have skin through it? It looks like they've kept it growing. If he doesn't like it, then cut it off. Or is it the pressure because people are worshiping it that he can't do it, otherwise he'll be public enemy number 1 or something? I don't know. It's definitely weird. I'd love to hear what Jacob Israel says about that, because he knows all about kind of the crazy different signs and things that are happening. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Be Real Beast, again, thank you, Reverend Brian York, Craig Alicious, thank you, Sean Morgan, appreciate you. Over on D Live, thank you, everybody that had popped in. Thank you, everybody over on Rumble. Ilea, thank you. I thank you for popping over. Laser hair removal, says Ilea, over on D Live. Hey, thank you. And thank you for helping out over there. Michelle K, Forest Farmer, Poco Loco, and Zenato, and Phil Billy, thank you. Let's see here. Dex, let's quickly go over the web only. We've got a kind of a lot of stuff, so maybe just kind of speed through this.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the highlights quickly, folks, because we're running out of time, but head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or hit that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to this webpage with all the sources of everything we talked about. All the caller information is down at the bottom, and right in the middle is this overflow section with the rest of the story, all of the content
Dex,
that we couldn't get to. Yes.
I just want to point out, before we go any further, look at this. On the actual web page, it shows up in the corner, CVV, get the latest information from the, you see, I wonder if it's something on the thumbnail or something.
Have you refreshed it?
No, I haven't, not since the beginning. So let's see. So,
yeah, it's gone. So it shouldn't be there if you refresh.
So, well, let's see. Okay, we're going to refresh, but I kind of want to see, what does this say? It just gives the, yeah. Okay, so let's refresh. What the heck? You guys saw it here right there. So that's shows you it. Now it's gone, but I don't understand why that was there in the first place. I'll have to look at that. Sometimes the thing is the algorithm will pick stuff up in the thumb. It will pick up stuff in the title. It will pick up stuff all over the place. All right, Dex, sorry about that. Keep going.
Yeah, no worries. So lots happening. There's a lot of updates in the political spectrum. They're on the page. We do have some stuff going on in the financial world. Jamie Dimon has some interesting things that go hand in hand with what we were talking about earlier with the caller about the potential financial collapse, et cetera. You got all the political stuff. Even Geraldo came out, talked about his experience on Fox on another network. So updates on the heat, massive heat happening all around, some major record setting things going on there as well. So look, it's all there. We put it together for you every night. It's on our website, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show or open up the show notes link down below in the description.
And you guys have to watch this clip. Again, they go after the FTC. The FTC is going after Elon, but some believe it is because they're actually going after free speech, and it's pretty bad. We're going to be over on Jams. Thank you, everybody. Sean Morgan, have to thank you so much. It is time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It is a shoutro. Let's make a fresh one for Sean Morgan.